This is Bobby Howard, and my presentation is about climate change and its impact on Alaska. I was enlightened by the videos from this course on Faces of Climate Change, created by Alaska Sea Grant. I was unfamiliar with the effects of global warming here in Alaska. The Arctic region is warming faster than any other part of the planet. The Arctic Circle is at 66 degrees north latitude on the Earth's sphere. Global warming may have begun in the north latitudes, but it is being felt southward around the state and the globe. Changes in climate affect the flora and fauna of the Arctic region, including Alaska natives who rely on subsistence hunting and fishing for their yearly food supply. Notice the seas of the Arctic Ocean. There is the Beaufort Sea, the Arctic Ocean, the Chukchi Sea, and the Bering Sea. Many of the coastal villages, such as Barrow, Point Hope, Kotzebue, Norvik, and Silowik, face tremendous challenges with erosion and lack of ice in the seas. Alaska natives use the ice to hunt cold-loving animals. They've done this for generations. Some of the animals that are hunted are whales, seals, walrus, and polar bears. The boats used in whale hunts are covered in seal skins. Drums used in traditional whaling festivals are made from the whale stomach and membranes. Polar bears are used for blankets, crafts, clothing, and food. Walrus is used for food and crafts. Seals are used for food and oil. Alaska natives have been accustomed to having these resources found in the icy waters surrounding the coastlines. Alaska natives have a thorough understanding of ice dynamics, or at least they did at one time. They have close to 100 terms for the different characteristics of ice. They must know the ice in order to use it efficiently. What once were predictable patterns of ice formation is now precarious and often dangerous. This change is making it harder to harvest the animals they are accustomed to utilizing. There needs to be lots of shore-fast ice, which is developed year after year, freezing and remaining on top of each layer from year to year with little melt-off. Pressure ridges are developed when wind and sea currents push the ice upwards onto the shore, creating a berm. The ridges help to stabilize the shore-fast ice due to the extra thickness of the berm. Sometimes when the ice is not grounded to the shore, large portions break off. This is called calving. Sometimes there are people on the ice when calving events take place. Large calving events have taken place over the last few decades. During one year, 142 members of several whaling camps were cast adrift and had to be rescued by helicopter. The ice is not what it used to be, and hunters are not reading the ice as well, or perhaps they are taking more risks due to having technology at their fingertips for rescue attempts. Where once the ice used to be 20 feet thick, it is only a few feet thick. Many communities have whale festivals in celebration of the whale hunt. That is how important the whale is to the community. One community says that the whale is what brings them together. It's who they are. Whale eat zooplankton, which are tiny marine animals called krill and copepods. Zooplankton eat tiny marine plants called phytoplankton. With climate change warming up the ocean waters, what will happen to the ecosystem that so many rely upon? Whales can weigh 60 tons and measure 23 meters long. 1 meter is a little over 1 yard, so that would be over 23 yards long. This much weight needs a massive amount of thick, stable ice to haul in the whale and butcher it. Whaling crews have to be very selective about where they butcher the whale. Some choose to use a front-end loader to move the whale to stable ice. Alaska natives believe this is still respectful treatment of the animal, so that it is not dragged through dirt or gravel in some cases. Consistent with the custom of respectful treatment of the animal, the whale skull is returned to the sea in hopes for an abundant harvest the following year. There are many more effects of a warming climate. When the weather is warmer in the fall, it brings rain instead of snow. Then the rain freezes into ice and it covers the food that the caribou eat. They are unable to dig through the ice to eat, and some hunters have reported sick and diseased caribou. Fishermen have been accustomed to relying on warm days to dry their fish for storage. But sometimes the weather turns to rain unexpectedly and ruins the fish. Still, other fishermen have said that the weather is so warm that they can dry fish faster and up until the end of August. Food stored for winter is stored in ice cellars in some communities. However, it is being reported that the ice cellars are thawing and food is spoiling. The ice cellars used to stay frozen all year. Recently, the report of dead salmon in the Northwest made the world news. The culprit is warm water. Alaska natives rely on salmon. Tourists also give the economy a big boost during the summer. Salmon need cold water. What will happen when this resource collapses? Other hazards of climate change include erosion, where entire structures have fallen into the sea. Without a firm ice pack along the shores, the land is battered by waves and wind, causing the land to break away and taking with it anything nearby. The town of Shishmaref, Alaska, has lost an average of 23 feet of shoreline per year. Some towns worry about the loss of their clinics, schools, airports, fuel tanks, and electricity stations. Towns have had to evacuate inland at a moment's notice. Thinner, warmer ice creates dangerous conditions for travel where expensive equipment is lost and even lives. Permafrost is melting, which causes the ground to slump or give way. Climate change not only affects people, but also animals. The United States Fish and Wildlife Department recognized that the habitat of the polar bear was being affected by global warming, and they put the polar bear on the endangered species list in 2008. As of July 2015, the United States Fish and Wildlife Department issued a recovery plan for the survival of the polar bear, and it includes reducing greenhouse gases. There are some Alaska natives suing the U.S. government for violating their human rights because of the global warming effect that greenhouse gases have caused. This was done partly because the United States refused to sign the Kyoto Protocol Agreement in 1997. That agreement promises to actively take steps to reduce greenhouse emissions. That agreement is in effect today, and many industrialized nations are participating. In conclusion, the fact is that ice seasons are shorter now. This affects the land, the animals, the oceans, and the people. Satellite imagery can show much more ice coverage over an area, but that is deceiving. The ice is thinner, it melts away. It's not like long ago when it remained year after year. Temperatures in Alaska have increased 6.3 degrees over the last 50 years, and it continues to rise all over the state. It is predicted that the Arctic seas, Beaufort, Chukchi, Bering, and the Arctic Ocean will be ice-free as early as the year 2030. If you would like more information on climate change, there is ample information on the internet, including the Faces of Climate Change videos on YouTube.